my channel, Stardust Stories, where I aim to tell my stories in order to help someone overcome heartache and pain in their lives by realizing that no matter what your circumstances, you have the power within you to overcome anything. Let me start this episode with this quote. Your past is just a story, and once you realize this, it has no power over you. From staypositive.me. And this is exactly what my motivation and inspiration was for creating this channel. So that we can share our stories, we can heal through shared experiences because we all have stories inside of us. And we can all heal from past traumas to become stronger than what we ever thought possible. Never underestimate your own strength. Never forget how amazing you are and that no matter what happened to you in your life, you are stronger and better than those who wanted to destroy you. You have the power and strength inside of you to overcome anything, no matter how bad it was. My story continues where I moved with my new boyfriend, later second husband, to a new province to start a new life in 1988. Although he had a good job, it took me a couple of months to find a new job in a new town. So therefore, in order to supplement our budget, I started waitering at a local restaurant, and although it was really hard work, I loved it and made some good money. We had a little bachelor's flat and we were actually very happy. He worked shifts, and so we organized our time together according to his shifts, and when I eventually got a permanent job, things were really good between us, and he asked me to marry him. His drinking was always a problem because he just couldn't control the drinking, and it would lead to really nasty fights between us. But stupidly, I always forgave him and trusted that it would get better. We got married and moved into a bigger townhouse. I had an awesome job and worked for an amazing boss. We had a middle-class life, but it was good. But his drinking was still a major factor, and it did cause a lot of problems between us. And every time I just accepted his apologies for the drinking and the bad behavior, because apart from that, we did have a good life. The company he worked for gave them one day a month as a relax day. And then the group of them would gather at somebody's house and have a party. I started to dread those days because every month there would be a massive drinking spree and wild parties. And every time they would gather at our place, by the time I got home from work, the place would be wrecked and he would be passed out in the room, which meant I had to clean up all the mess by myself while he was passed out drunk. Now, just to put that into context, I was, and maybe still are, a neat freak. So just leaving the mess for him to clean the next day was just not an option. And so every month after their relaxed day, we would have massive arguments. Because like I say, they literally drank until they passed out. And I was getting fed up with it. One specific night after one of these parties, he came home drunk as a skunk, and we got into a huge fight about it. In hindsight, you should never argue with a drunk person because it's a fight you will never win. But at that stage, I didn't have the wisdom I have today, and so it always ended up in a fight. He had this tendency to, every time we would argue, get in his car and race away. Where to? No one knows. But it was just the thing he did. So that night during our fight, he was looking for the car keys to race away again. But because I know what he did when things got that bad, I put the car keys in my short pants pocket, hiding it away from him. He went ballistic, and when he couldn't find the keys, he literally overturned every single piece of furniture in that house looking for those keys. And eventually he must have realized that they are on me. He threw me on the bed, and when I was fighting him to get off me, he felt the keys in my pocket. He ripped the pants off my body, got the keys, got into the car, and drove away. I only saw him 2 days later. Bearing in mind, we only had one car, and I needed to get to work with it. I had to ask one of my colleagues to give me a lift to work and back, using the excuse that our car had broken down. Despite all of this, when he was not drinking, we actually had a good relationship, and we even started talking about having a family. I was at a point in my life where I wanted a child, and again thinking that having a child would calm him down or change him somehow. Again, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but when you are in the situation, you do not have the luxury of hindsight. He had already had one son that he had with his first wife, and when she asked him to sign away all rights to his child, he did with no hesitation. How could I have been so stupid to believe that another child would change him? At first, we battled to fall pregnant until I was put on fertility medication, and a short while after that, I was pregnant. I was overjoyed. I was looking so forward to becoming a mother. My pregnancy was not difficult. I had no problems except for gaining a lot of weight. And this proved to be a major issue for him. Because before I fell pregnant, I was very skinny, and he liked that. But as the months passed during my pregnancy, I gained more and more weight, and he started pulling away from me. He never touched me again. It was as if he was disgusted to be near me. It was also during this time that I started noticing signs that he might be involved with someone else. I could never really prove it at that stage, but my gut never lies, and eventually it would turn out to be true. Because I was not going to earn an income during my maternity leave and the additional expense of a baby, we decided to move to a more affordable flat on a farm close to town. But that was like living straight in hell. In 1992, there was an extreme drought and heat wave going on in an already very hot climate, and this place was very poorly ventilated. I really suffered during the last month before the baby was born. I had to give up my job a month earlier than anticipated because I just physically wasn't able to work anymore. By this time, we were not in a good place at all in our relationship, and I felt so alone. We even slept on separate beds in the same room. In February of 1992, my beautiful baby boy was born. I was overwhelmed by the immense love at first sight I felt when I held him in my arms for the first time. I was overjoyed. It was the best thing that has ever happened to me. I was so happy. In the next episode, I will continue the story from the time that my son was born until the time that I realized that this relationship with my husband was heading towards disaster, and how everything that happened during that period would influence me to be the person that I am today. Until next time, never forget, you are strong, you are loved, and you are special.